Hello, everyone. Welcome to the NTI PodTalk. My name is Dianne Kaler, and I'm the Director of Nutrition Therapy Institute. This PodTalk is our opportunity to have fun conversations with interesting people who have interesting things to say about nutrition, food, and health. I talk to NTI instructors, students and grads, to health industry professionals, to farmers, and anyone else who has an interest in nutritional wellness. While many of our listeners come from within the NTI community as students and grads, we also have prospective students who tune in. And to those listeners in particular, I hope you find that the people we talk to inspire you to finally make the jump to pursue your passion and come to school here at NTI. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. Everyone, welcome back to another edition of the NTI PodTalk. My name is Dianne Kaler, and I'm the Director of Nutrition Therapy Institute. Today, I'm very excited to talk to Sarah Cook, who is a professional copywriter. Her business is called Wellness Writer, and we're definitely going to talk about her business, but we have a lot more history to talk about because Sarah and I have known each other for a long time. So welcome, Sarah. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Dianne. Yes, we go way back. So
yes.
I'm really excited to be here and chat with you.
Yeah, well, so our history started when I was a student at Nutrition Therapy Institute. And I was in school between the years of 2005 to 2007. And you were an instructor here then. So that takes us back at least 15 years, if not 16 years.
We're getting old.
Yeah, exactly. To where we met. And you were a phenomenal instructor. You just blew my mind every time I heard you talk. And so I was thrilled to be able to have you as an instructor. So can you talk about, so you were trained as a naturopathic doctor,
right?
And that's what brought you to be an instructor, or your knowledge in that area is what brought you to be an instructor here at NTI. So can you talk a little bit about your education as a naturopathic doctor? Where did you go to school? When did you graduate? And then how did you come to NTI as an instructor?
Sure. Yeah. So I really believed that I wanted to be a naturopathic doctor. And I decided that actually when I was in high school. I was just very interested in nutrition and herbs and natural medicine. And I think it clinched it when we did a trip to Europe. I was in high school and we went to one of the baths in Germany, in Bad Wormshofen, and I was just blown away. And like, the hydrotherapy and these natural traditional healing modalities, I just was like, I'm going to be a naturopathic doctor. And so I went with that. I did the pre-med at Washington University in St. Louis. I went straight to naturopathic medical school. I went to Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine, which is now recently renamed as Sonoran University. It's in Arizona. And, loved every minute of all that learning, and graduated and was sort of like hit with this shock of like, oh my God, I have to be a doctor. Yeah. And what's funny is like, when I think back, I think that possibly if I had graduated today from naturopathic medical school, I would have wanted to, because there's so many different opportunities with being really creative with your practice now and doing online courses and doing group programs. And those are the things I think I could get into. But at that time, this was 2004 when I graduated. Naturopathic doctors were just hanging a shingle and being a doctor. Mm-hmm. And not a lot was going, no one was doing much online. In fact, 2004 is the same year that Facebook started. So no one was like going on Instagram and talking about nutrition.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I just didn't last long in clinical practice. There were so many things about it. So one thing, I do know you, I don't think you can probably relate to this, Dianne, but I'm a shaker. So like I tremble if the slightest bit of nerves, but just trying to do something fine with my hands. and like I'm shake and I tremble. And so you don't want me drawing your blood. And like, these are things that we had to do. And I know as a nutritionist, you don't necessarily have to do some of those technicality types of things, but I was trying to be a doctor. And it was like, those types of things really tripped me up. I didn't feel comfortable. Anyway, long story short, I didn't stick with being a clinician. But of course I got into it because I loved the content of it, which maybe, I mean, probably even some of your students going through your programs feel that way. They are so just fascinated by nutrition for their own personal, interest and knowledge.
Yeah.
And, but going to naturopathic medical school is a lot of years and money to invest in that. So anyway, I wanted to use that knowledge. Like, I didn't want to abandon the profession. I didn't want to throw that away. And one of the things I noticed, I mentioned there was not a lot going online with naturopaths or nutritionists, but one thing that was a thing in the mid 2000s was blogging. And I noticed some of my colleagues, my friends, like they all wanted to have a blog, but didn't have time, didn't feel like they were a writer, whatever. And I started blogging for some of my colleagues. And that was kind of one of my foot in the door of starting to write for the wellness community. And I think also another thing I did was start to teach. Like, these were things that to me was like, okay, I can still put this knowledge to use in a way of helping the profession, and yet in a different way than being a clinician. And and so the teaching was just, it was really enjoyable for me. Like, love teaching, deepened that knowledge of nutrition. And NTI was just an amazing place to be because the students are just so smart and so interested in like making sense of putting together the puzzle pieces and connecting the dots. And like, so that was really, it was a really good fit for me and really fun. And at the same time, I was doing more writing. And like I said, there was blogging for practitioners, but what's interesting is in writing about nutrition, writing about natural medicines, there's just an enormous need. I mean, there are supplement companies who also need blogs. Like, I've written for Integrative Therapeutic supplement company. There's I was the writer for the Emerson Ecologics. Well, now is taken over by Full Script.
Yeah,
they have a magazine called The Element. So for several years, I was the main writer of all the articles in The Element. And so these like kind of content rich things, it really helps to have a training in understanding nutrition and understanding natural medicines to be able to write content for, a company like Emerson Ecologics or Integrative Therapeutics. And so let's see, where are we at? I did a lot of content writing, and it's morphed since then, so we can kind of go to the next stage. But
well, you also wrote blogs for NTI for a while. Even after you stopped being, an instructor and doing that work with NTI, you were writing blogs for NTI, and so that passion for writing and getting the information out there for the public viewing, that has, continued, and that was amazing that you were writing our blogs, and still some of the blogs that you wrote are still very popular on our website. So
I love that.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so I just want to circle back to kind of some comments that you made about the students that are here. This platform, this PodTalk that we do, is frequented by current students and graduates, but also prospective students. And I always like to put in a little bit about what students can expect when they get here. And, you mentioned that our students are really smart and really engaging, and they love the puzzle pieces. Things that we see is that they're highly motivated. They have this really deep desire to learn, and they want to get into the details. And And then when they graduate, they go out to be highly qualified in this field of holistic nutrition. Just that you acknowledge that without me even prompting you to do that is really beneficial, because I think that, prospective students really want to have assurances that they're going to get a high quality education here. So I appreciate you saying that. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
I mean, I think probably a lot of the students don't even know what they're getting into when they first come, because you think nutrition, it's like, literally this morning, my kid was looking at his vitamin bottle and like quizzing me, like, what's vitamin A for, right? And I'm just rattling off, oh, it's good for your eyes, it's good for your skin, like, and
Right.
what's vitamin, and you kind of think that that's what nutrition is. It's just like knowing your vitamins. But the depth that the courses go into, which, like, I mean, at one point I helped kind of develop some of the courses, which I'm sure is completely revamped now. And but just like the depth that the courses go into and into the biochemistry, and like it really, I mean, I don't know. I can't compare to, well, this is what we learned in naturopathic school compared to what you learned in NTI. Like, it's different. You're not training to be a doctor, but it is, I would say, like the same caliber of like understanding the human body and how foods interact with that on like such a level you probably are not imagining if you're not a student of this yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that is something that we really focus on. We want people to understand how the human body works, biochemical pathways, and then how does nutrition, how do the nutrients interact with those biochemical pathways, and so that we can now have a much broader understanding of why is vitamin A important, like what actually does it do, and how does it have broad effects, not just for vision, but how does it have broad effects? So that's definitely true. And the other thing, I think that people kind of have this simplistic view of what is nutrition? What do you learn in nutrition school? Because they kind of think, okay, well, there's the nutrition facts label, and as long as you know how many calories and how many grams of fat and how many grams of protein, then what else is there to know?
Right.
It's like how hard can it be? I still get people saying to me, well, what could you possibly learn in an 18-month nutrition program? Like, how hard could it be? And it's not that it's hard, it's just that you need to understand a lot if you're actually going to be working with people, making recommendations about foods and nutrients and other lifestyle factors that are going to have an impact on their current and on their long-term health.
Yeah, I think one of the courses I taught, and maybe it has a new name, but it was reproductive nutrition or something. So it was just all about, it was basically, about women's hormones, men's hormones, fertility. And it's like, well, how does nutrition impact all of these things, right? And it's sort of like, it makes it very real to life. Like, these are the reasons that people need good nutrition, and for you to understand how nutrition actually interplays with the hormone systems, right? And I mean, that's just one example, but that's kind of the depth of where nutrition can go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, yes, that course is now called Nutritional Endocrinology and Reproductive Health, because it focuses on the endocrine system.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
All right. Well, so we started, or we sort of got to a point in your history of your career where you love writing. And so what are you doing now, and how are you transforming that love of writing into this business that you have?
So I guess the biggest thing that happened was I was kind of doing that, what I call content writing, magazine articles, blog articles, in-depth kind of content. And I really particularly loved writing for the other practitioners, like rather than for company level, which is like less red tape and less nonsense to deal with. So I love writing for the practitioners, but I realized at a point, okay, blog articles are not enough. Like, it's great, they're educational, it helps their website, helps SEO, but it's not enough to really be bringing more patient or clients into their practice and really building their businesses up. And so I got really interested in using words more to sell. And so connecting that really educational content in with, well, what's your offer, and having really clear copy on the website, and having getting people into an email list so that you can nurture them over time, and then ultimately they become clients. And so really shifting from content, which is really about educating, into copy or copywriting, which is more about selling. And so now it's like, yes, I help practitioners with both educational content and the selling copy, and they work hand in hand. But that's been a big shift over the last few years. And to me, it's just really, really fun, because I think using words to sell, you see the results more dramatically. Like, a lot of times it's hard to track, well, what effect is that blog article that I wrote for NTI? Like, is that translating into more students enrolling? Well, that's really hard to track, right? But it's easy to see. You send out an email and people start booking calls or booking appointments, and you get that instant, like, oh, cool, like that made a difference, right? So that's I think why I really just enjoy the copywriting part of things. But it's a lot easier. So I mean, there's a lot of copywriters out there. And for me, because I'm very specific, like, I come from knowing nutrition, naturopathic medicine, functional medicine. It's like, those are the practitioners I work with. And so it makes it really easy for me to like craft their copy, because I already know the foundation of it.
Yeah.
And then I can just get in and be real specific about, well, what is it about this nutrition therapist, that is really different about the people that they help, and like get down a lot, just more specific, faster, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I totally agree with you that I think, well, first of all, I want to say that I never really thought about the difference between educational writing and copywriting as to the point where copywriting is for sales purposes, blog writing is for educational purposes. That distinction never, ever was elucidated in my mind until now. So thank you for doing that. But I think it's really important, as you say, that the person who's writing the copy needs to have an understanding of the content, and needs to have a really deep understanding of the content. And so, and maybe I'm biased, maybe whatever. I just think that the field of health, and particularly holistic wellness, you need to have a deep understanding of this field in order to be able to write about it.
Yeah.
I just don't think kind of a run-of-the-mill off-the-street copywriter could do that effectively.
Well, or they could, with enough time and research. I mean, because that's what some copywriters do, is they do all the background research, but then what? It's going to take you 2 months for them to write your website, and $10,000 instead of like a day working with me.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. There you go.
So, yeah, we sort of can skip all that background stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, wonderful. Good. Well, so you mentioned that you work with naturopaths, functional medicine practitioners, nutrition therapists. Are there other?
That's like the probably bulk of it. I mean, sure, when you say like health and wellness practitioners, it certainly opens up the circle. And I've written for some acupuncturists, some chiropractors, some physical therapists, some personal trainers. I mean, actually, yeah. So there is a pretty broad scope of, I just tend to work with those health practitioners who are working more in the holistic space, but definitely kind of like my core stuff is the nutrition, functional medicine category, just because I know it better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Wonderful. Well, anything else that I didn't ask you that fits into the conversation today and something that you really want to talk about? It doesn't have to be, but in case there is something, I have maybe a funny story to share. So, for those of you who, are either, in the process of going through school or had gone through school, you may be familiar with this phenomenon that happens, that as you are really in-depthly studying something, something health related, you suddenly feel like you have that problem. And this happened to me when I was in school. And Sarah, I'm going to bring you into the picture here in a moment, because I don't know if you remember, but when I was in school, I was working on this big, huge project presentation on GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, or disorder, depending on what you assign the D to. And I, for the first time in my life, started developing this horrible heartburn, and I had horrible pain. It would keep me up in the middle of the night. I was in extreme, excruciating pain. And, it popped up while I was doing this research. So I'm pretty sure it was psychosomatically created, but
so crazy.
I could not figure it out myself. I was a student, I was early sort of in my process. I couldn't figure it out. And you were the smartest person I had ever met at that point, still are, but at that point you were the
And now you have exceeded me, Dianne.
You were the smartest person I had ever met. And at the time you still were practicing. So I came to you as a patient in your practice. And when I came to you, I don't know if this was my observation. I don't know if this is what actually it was, but my observation is that you were kind of specializing in homeopathy.
Yes.
And so you gave me, I think, 3 different homeopathic remedies, and my heartburn cleared up in like a week, maybe less. I don't know. It was really quick turnaround, and I've never had it since. I was like, Sarah is a magician.
Oh, homeopathy is amazing. So there you go, right? I should have stuck with being a clinician. But you know what? The girl who I started practicing with when I first started, she is still in practice, pure homeopathy in Lafayette. Give her a little shout out, because homeopathy is amazing. And that's like, I mean, it really, it's so different than nutrition, because it's like, yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's energy medicine, but and it works better when your nutrition is in place, because probably, it wouldn't have worked if you were eating garbage.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So that's probably also, you're a great case study, because you had the nutritional foundation in place, and then boom, you put in the remedy and it works like magic. So yeah, that's so cool.
Well, the occurrence of my condition was definitely an energetic occurrence, because I'm positive I psychologically caused it.
Definitely, you were reading it too much about it.
Yeah. So, but anyways, that's my story about you as a practitioner, and I'm sure that all of that expertise is still being put to very good use in your work today. So, so you didn't need to stay as a clinician.
You know what? We all have, I think, so many talents, and it's just like where you choose to direct your energy.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Well, and that also brings up a really good point that I want to talk about. And that is that oftentimes people who come to school, go to nutrition school, and they're like, they're starting out and they're going through the program, and they think that the thing that they must do when they graduate, that they have to do, that's the only thing that's available for them to do, is work one-on-one with clients. And this field is not a black box in which you graduate, you get a title, and that title allows you to do only one single thing. The field is wide open. And it is really, truly based on, how creative you are, how much initiative you have, the vast, choices that you have in which you can use your skills and your knowledge. So,
Absolutely. Yep.
yeah. All right. Well, where can people find you? How do we get people to seek you out?
I mean, easiest way is just go to wellnesswriter.com. I do play around on Instagram, so you can find me there, sarahcook.wellnesswriter. But really simple as that.
Okay.
There's ways to get on my email list and stuff from my website so we can stay connected.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. And it was so nice to be able to spend a little bit of time with you because you are still one of my favorite people. So thank you.
Thank you, Diane. This was really a lot of fun. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi there, and thanks for listening today. If what you heard today inspires you to want to pursue an education in holistic nutrition here at Nutrition Therapy Institute, please check us out on our website, ntischool.com, and reach out to us at admissions@ntischool.com. Our in-depth, comprehensive education is sure to provide you with the knowledge and skills you need to create the work of your dreams. Do something that feeds your passion, aligns with your values, and fuels your drive for a vital and meaningful life. It will be rewarding for yourself, your family, and anyone else with whom you interact. And with that, see you on the next episode.